And welcome back. In the last video, you saw me putting the rear spar onto the left wing, and so now I'm just continuing on, and in this video I'll be putting all of the major components onto the spar. As I've shown before, and you can actually see just to the right side of the screen there, I've had the fuel tank and the leading edge. Well, the fuel tank's been done for quite some time, and the leading edge was ready to be deburred and just assembled. The fuel tanks, as I've talked before, when I got the wing kit, that was actually the first thing I did, both left and right fuel tanks, just because I had heard from several folks that they're a pain in the ass. And so I figured, while I'm the most excited, let's go ahead and knock those out. That way they may not seem so bad. And in reality, the fuel tanks weren't that bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, they did suck putting together. That working with that Pro Seal is a pain. But I was able to use the dispensing tubes where you mixed it inside the tube and then you squeezed it out and you put it in a caulking gun mechanism, and it actually worked pretty well. I didn't have to worry about mixing and getting it all over my clothes and stuff. So it worked out well, but it stinks and was just a pain. So I figured I would knock those out first. And then I worked on the right wing and got that all complete, as you can see on the stand there. But, when I got to the left wing, I started putting the leading edge together, and I started putting some of the ribs onto the spar. I think they were all clecoed, and then that's when I stopped, and I took a 1.5-year hiatus. And so now that I'm getting back into it, it's fairly simple because the big portions are mostly done, and so now it's just a matter of kind of putting all the parts together. And so this left wing has come together significantly faster as far as actual work time than the right wing. Some folks I know do both at the same time, and I couldn't imagine trying to keep everything straight. Am I working on the left side or working on the right wing? Making sure I'm flipping the pieces the correct way. So that's why I stuck to one and then the other. So as you saw me putting in there is the doublers for the wing walk. And here I'm setting the countersink for all of the rivets that will go underneath the anti-skid stickers or whatever they are. I didn't quite set these as much as I would have liked to. There, you could run your thumbnail over and you feel a slight ledge. They're all seated, but just not as much as I would have liked to have done. But the instructions said if you are going to fail, then fail on the side of a little too shallow and not too deep. So that's what I did, and I decided it was fine. But yeah, going back to the rest of this wing, because I had everything already set up, once I got to this part, it was just a matter of putting the skins on and then just attaching everything. So it's coming along pretty quickly. The other good part about this particular video is I got a chance to have my kids get a little more involved. I've got a 8-year-old son, and my daughter is 13 and she's starting to get into this a little more. So I'm enjoying the fact that I'm at parts where I need someone's help, and she's always excited to come out and help me buck rivets, look for parts and things like that. And I think at some point here, I'm hoping to be able to get to a point where I can actually just assign her a task, build this, this little sub-assembly, build an aileron, or, obviously give her some supervision while she's doing it, but kind of let her start and do things on her own to hopefully kind of get that mechanic bug going for her. But yeah, like I said, this is one of the benefits of this section, is that because I can't reach both sides and I need help, I am able to go to my daughter, and she's more than happy to come out and assist. Now here, one of the differences that I ran into between the left wing, and when I did the right wing is the right wing, I was in Arizona, and I had an actual stand that supported the spar on both ends. And then I was able to support the midsection of the spar with some structure and a jack to make sure it was all level. And it wasn't the best setup, but here I was able to set up both tables, and I've actually got a digital leveler, and I was able to get it to a 0 degree, and so minimize the chance of any kind of warpage or twist. And so I think that this is going to come out really well in the end. Not that I think that the right wing has any issues with it, because like I said, I also measured it and got it to 0, but I think this is just a little more solid all the way across, and was a better way of doing it. And if I was to build another, this is how I would do it in the future. But getting to this point here, my son, he wanted to come out and hang out and have a conversation while I was working on the inner rib. He's got stories that last forever, and he'll talk about anything and everything, and he's fun to have in the shop. And eventually I would like to also get him a little more involved with this as well, at least get him bucking some rivets and things like that, and so that by the time that this project's done, we can say the entire family had input. So here I'm working with my daughter. She helped me with the right wing also, and was able to autograph her name in the right wing. So I figured give her a chance to be able to work on the left and autograph the left wing as well. And so we went back and forth, and she was getting back into it and taking a gauge and making sure all the rivets were looking good and all of that. And then after doing this for a bit, she decided she wanted her turn. And so she decided she wanted to shoot the rivet gun. And so we had a lot of fun just going back and forth and making sure she understood what was actually happening. I talked to her about the process of the rivets and what they're doing when they're getting set and how they're really making a solid contact and bringing those two pieces together. And so it was good to kind of get her in that mindset of, not just doing it, but why we're doing it and what's actually happening. And then, like I said, I'm now riveted on the leading edge on the inside webbing of the spar. You use pop rivets to hold the leading edge to the spar face, and then you obviously solid rivet on the upper and lower surface of the spar. This part's easy because I was able to use my squeezer, which I love using that thing because it's just a solid rivet every time. It's a standard squeeze. Getting into using a bucking bar and things like that, it tends to walk at times, but this it's really easy and real nice to use. Anytime I get a chance, I like using the squeezer. But on the top side of the leading edge, obviously I had to have my daughter's help again, so managed to get her out of her room and come out and enjoy the nice weather. So but at this point, I've got the left wing sitting in that cradle. I've also now got the fuel tank attached. Had an issue with one of the nut plates. I ran into this problem on the right wing as well. There's one nut plate that I installed that they didn't put the threads in, so I had to take the fuel tank all the way back. And of course, it's one of the last ones that I went to screw in. But took the nut plate or fuel tank off, had to drill out the nut plate and install a new one and put the fuel tank back on, and now it all looks good, and now I'm ready to put the innards in. So anyway, I'm going to let this video run out here. I'm going to be working on the LED lights from Fly LEDs. I just got those in, so that's what I'll be working on next, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for stopping by.